Tally ho and pip pip groovers. We're off to work. I just pressed go live and realised there's a typo in my header. So what should be not. But did a quick run around on a few YouTube channels and I couldn't find what I was looking for. But I did get a couple of DMs. I don't get sent clips and links and things like that. So this is all allegedly, purportedly, is rumoured to be. It's not verified by me at all. But whether or not this actually happened, I'm not doing this live to slag off anybody. Slag off means, have a go, bash. What do you groovers in the States call it? Gee, you can see I've thought this out, right? But, yeah, I didn't have time to do my research, so I'm not throwing people under the bus or anything like that, but it is a topic that a lot of you know I do advocacy work in, and it happened, but if it didn't happen, it's still worth discussing, if you get my drift. It's going to be a lovely 16 degrees today here in Hobart Town. I'm actually going the Tasman Highway way because we'll be crawling a little bit and I'd like to have a proper discussion with some of you guys. I've got 3 people watching, nobody talking. That's all right. So, like I said, this is not verified and I'm not naming any names, but it did make me wonder if it was said on behalf of the rest of Australia. I'd like to say no, it's not okay to use the word tranny in Australia. And if it didn't happen, let's have this discussion anyway. Pardon me. What I was told, allegedly, is that an Australian creator used the word tranny and said that it's an okay word in Australia. Like it's in common usage. And I'm probably more annoyed that that person spoke on behalf of the entire country more than anything. Not a fan of those sort of absolute statements. But I just wanted to say on behalf of the rest of Australia, since we're talking on behalf of an entire fucking country, no, it's not okay. It's especially not okay if you are trans or if you are a trans ally or advocate. There might be a drag queen out there somewhere who still uses it in their name. I don't know. I'd be surprised. But even if there was, if they are a trans person and that's their drag queen name, that's their call as far as I'm concerned. But it's not okay to use trans. The only time tranny, hey, Anne-Marie, how are you, gorgeous? The only time you're allowed to use the word tranny in Australia, in my experience, I don't know if you guys remember transistor radios. I am well, darling. How are you doing? Does anyone remember transistor radios? They're still around, I believe, although when my dad was in hospital, and he died in 2013, and I remember my sister and I really struggled to find a transistor radio, but they're like a little radio that has a cord that you can plug in to a power point, or they run off batteries. And there's probably a generation of older Australians, probably now over the age of 80, who sometimes refer to their transistor radio as a tranny. Hey, Trixie. I'll be out in the shed listening to the footy on my tranny. But I don't know anyone who still calls. Well, I don't know anyone who has a transistor radio anymore. And I certainly haven't heard anyone use the word tranny in, oh, I don't know, over a decade, unless they're assholes. But you guys know I'm a bit cynical about and critical of political correctness where it goes too far. There's times where I think the world's got a little bit too precious, start deconstructing. And Australia certainly isn't the most politically correct country in the world, and we've got a lot of issues. But there's some political correctness that I've always maintained was necessary, especially when it comes to words that are used to describe marginalised groups, minority groups, groups that are already been having a pretty shitty time in the community. There's been a bit of a movement to stop using politically incorrect words that are often used in a derogatory, hateful fashion. Hey, Stacey Marie. Anne-Marie's husband has a transistor radio. There you go. But does he call it a tranny? I know that my dad used to refer to his little transistor radio as a tranny, but my point of that is that's the only time in Australia these days where that word might be in common usage, and even if it is, people might raise an eyebrow going, yeah, you may want to change the name of your transistor radio, but if they're over 80, just, can't you teach an old dog new tricks? But they're not using it in a derogatory, hateful fashion to describe other people. They're talking about their little radio that they listen to the footy on out in the shed. This is my drive therapy on the way to work. I've got a huge day today. Oh, my God, I've got a huge day. So busy. I've got a new client I've got to see. I've got a hearing to attend. It's going to be busy. Very, very busy. Which is good. So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a massive rant. I just wanted to say on behalf of the rest of Australia that no, tranny isn't a word that is used in general conversation in Australia. Like trans people or trans person is usually the accepted way to discuss any trans person in the community. The best way to find out when words are cool or not is to ask the group that they're aimed at. My trans goddaughter, I had a conversation with her because I wanted to make sure I was using the right terminology. I didn't want to upset anyone inadvertently. And I mean, tranny wasn't a word I was even considering using, but I wanted to know the correct way to describe trans people. And as it turns out, that's what she said. She's actually even okay with being called trans, but that's her call, So I always say trans people or trans person, unless they tell me otherwise. The best way how to find out how to not upset or offend someone is to speak to them and ask them questions. But I also just wanted to say, if anyone did hear that comment, no, it's not something that the entire country uses, a word that the entire country uses and is okay with, not at all. But like I also said, I couldn't find the grab or the bit where it was said. So this is all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I'm just quoting Aphrodite. just think we've got to be very mindful about absolute comments, you know. Talked about this before on this channel, and, you know, mass sort of generalizations. Like, another one that irks me is when there's been a shooting in America and a YouTube creator goes live about it and says, the world's gone crazy. I mean, maybe the world has gone crazy, but when it comes to a mass shooting that's happened in America, it's not even America that's gone crazy. It's the person that did it, not the world. Don't blame the whole world. Don't even blame your entire country. So, yeah, anyway, we're not even in Sorel and I've got it off my chest. And I wasn't angry about it. It was just like, it's an odd thing to say. And look, if people want to say stupid shit, they can say stupid shit, but don't say the entire country's cool with it when they're not. Don't put me in that group. I do trans advocacy like I'm not. I'm not an Australian that uses that word freely and thinks it's fine. I don't. But I'm also not a hardcore PC sort of person, as a lot of you know. But when it comes to marginalised groups that are already being discriminated and are already very disadvantaged in their communities, words like that should just disappear from the English language. And I thought in Australia it kind of had. Like I said, there might be some little drag queen from the 70s that's got the word tranny in their name and they've had it forever and they're not going to change it anytime soon, and that's their call. But I just don't like somebody representing the country that I live in, which has already got enough fucking problems, without adding this one to the mix. Hey, Karen. Hey, Aussie. Don't forget to use caps, guys. I'm actually going to go the crawly way today. Um, so I might be able to read a bit of chat when we're not moving in traffic. Way to lose half your audience. Talk about political correctness and don't muck around with people. Maybe I've got my lawyer hat on already. I actually do. I'm thinking about this hearing today. I'm really actually thinking about a hearing I've got next week. This one is kind of straightforward, I think. But you never know. Now, I did leave home about 10 minutes earlier than I normally do, so I'm kind of curious to see what difference, if any, that makes. I know in the past, if I leave like 20 minutes early, it's really bad. Have I left in the window? Because normally there's a bit of traffic banked up to this corner. I don't want to get too optimistic. Well, Karen, however old you are, you're a groover, and that's all that matters. I'd actually like to take you to work with me so you can do my work today. If anyone wants to do my job today, you're more than welcome to do it. Well, actually, no, next Wednesday is the day I'd like to get someone else to. So we are kind of in the same thing. Now I'm already thinking, go the other way, but I actually want to read your chat this morning. So we're going the crawly way. Oh, no, I can't. I can't do it to myself. I know the other way is better. I'm going the other way, guys. I can't do it. Just can't do it. I'll read comments when I can. If you make them short and snappy. Oh, Ozzy, I'm not going to name a name because I can't verify it. I wasn't able. I didn't have time. I was getting ready to go to work, but I've just got a couple of DMs. There's a few of my subs that don't comment very often, but I know them through uh, an activism group called Transcend, and we're basically, well, I'm nowhere near as involved in it as other people, but they're basically an advocacy group for trans people in Australia. Um, anyway, they've kind of discovered the YouTube world a year or two ago, and um, I guess they've probably expanded their repertoire, or rarely. I used to. There were videos that creator used to make that I kind of used as a little update on what was happening out on the YouTube world, but I don't listen to lives or anything like that, so I can't verify it. But the point is, whether that person said it or not, it's the fact that it was said in a really blanket statement that it's an okay word in Australia, and I guess that's where I'm a little bit more um, interested in clearing Australia's fucking name. But I don't like sweeping generalisations anyway, and I don't like people in other parts of the world thinking we're all a bunch of insensitive bastards. I mean, we've got enough problems in this country already. So it'd kind of be nice if we didn't get thrown under the homophobic, transphobic bus as well, you know? Ah, you're a dental assistant. That's an important job. You do all the sucking out of all the bits of things in people's mouths that start to fill up, and the patient feels like they're going to drown in their own mouth juices. But yeah, just wanted to let the rest of the world know that it's not generally used or accepted in Australia, the word tranny. And I don't know the full context of what was said. I don't even, like I said, I can't even verify it was said. But it's also possible the two DMs I got were, they'd spoken to each other and said, not we better message Tori, like, oh, there's a big drama afoot on the YouTubes. But they might have both said, oh, let's let her know. But, yeah, there's heaps of other stuff about Australia that I could talk about how fucked the country we can be at times. But in terms of, you know, other areas, I mean, Australia was pretty slow for marriage equality to get over the line, but it did. Um, really shitty old bits of legislation have been repealed a long time ago when they were identified as being problematic. We're in the country, guys, so I might drop in and out a bit. We're going the longer but pretty way to work today. Yeah, I just think in this particular area, Australia is actually doing okay. There's other areas like domestic violence, don't even get me started on that, where we've got serious issues. But I just feel like, we have come a long way. We're all having open conversations about trans people, which is so, so, so important. My goddaughter, some of you know already, is like highly awarded She actually has the highest award you can get as an Australian citizen for your contribution to Australian society. Or this well, trans rights, and before the age of 18, she brought about legislative changes. She's got an Order of Australia medal, which is like the highest recognition you can get for being a really good fucking citizen of Australia. She's done incredible work. And I asked her, Georgie, what's the best way? And this was years ago. This wasn't like yesterday. Is to just said trans people, trans person. And like I said, there's a lot to learn from speaking to someone who's actually the person you're speaking about to see what they're okay with, And I don't know. I just think generalizations are really dangerous, including the one I just made then. All generalizations are dangerous. Yeah, even that one is. Because there might be a generalization that isn't. But my point is, can we not throw the entire fucking country under a really politically incorrect bus? I agree, Aussie. I mean, we're a multicultural country. We're a young country, and we've got so many influences from other cultures here. You look at what an Australian family eats in a week, and chances are at some point there's going to be some sushi, there'll probably be some lasagna, there might be some spanakopita, there might be a Moroccan carrot salad. Like, we've got these incredible influences in our diets, in our music, our clothing. There's a lot of diversity here. And don't get me wrong, there's still bogans and racists and assholes here. In fact, we've probably got more than our fair share. But they're the minority. Most Australians are pretty decent people, even though we've come from convict stock, a lot of us. I know South Australians, I know you're the first free state of Australia, whatever. Oh shit, there's nowhere for me to pull over. There's a tow bar sitting in the middle of the road. That's a bit dangerous. Not a tow bar, like the ball joint that you connect your trailer to on the back of your car. That could do some damage to somebody's tyre. I'm glad I saw it and didn't run over it. I was with Scotty the other day, like only 3 or 4 days ago, and we were driving along and the same thing. We saw a trailer tow ball thingamajig in the middle of the road, and Scott was actually able to pull over, and he went and grabbed it. And when he put it in the back of his ute, the noise that it made, like it was a massive thud. They're big, heavy bits of metal. The heavy metal, man. I love this view when we come around this bend. Look at it with all the vineyards and so pretty. So that was just my drive therapy, my little morning rant. And like I said, I didn't verify it, but it's kind of like, well, I want to say something about it because it's shitty to use that word, and it's shitty to say it's an okay word that Australians use. Like, ask the trans community how they feel about that word. The Australians that live in Australia that are trans people. Have a chat with them about how they feel about the word tranny before you speak on behalf of the whole fucking country. Oh, I sounded angry then. I was trying to be firm or, reasonable. But yeah, it was more to just say not all Australians agree with that comment. If that comment happened, it might be out of context. And fuck it, I say shit sometimes that later on I'm like, yeah, that sounded different to what I meant. And because I can't verify it, I'm not naming names. And I'm certainly not, I don't have a problem. I don't know this person from a bar of soap. So they're not, I've never had a conversation with them. I've never been in their lives. I was just more horrified that the rest of the planet is being misinformed because I actually haven't heard anyone in my circle, and that's friends, family, extended family, all of that, people I work with. I haven't actually heard anyone use the word tranny in such a fucking long time. And maybe they have, maybe they do, maybe they've got trans friends who have said, I like to be called tranny. If that's the case, awesome. But it doesn't mean it's cool with the whole country, right? Bomb awake. Aaron wanting the tea. There's really no tea. It was just I like to go live, as you know, about a topic or something that's happened on YouTube. But I just thought it was worth doing there's something being built to our right. I cannot wait to take you to it. It's coming along nicely. It's probably another year away from being completed, but I've got an adventure plan for us in Richmond. Highly interactive. It's going to be a lot of fun, I hope. And if not, we'll pop into the Pooley Vineyard afterwards, which is just up here and on the left, and enjoy one of their fabulous wines. Drown our sorrows for our misadventure. Blows my mind that we're like 15 minutes out of a capital city right now. It's all countryside, and it's amazing, really. It's amazing. There are parts of the world you've got to drive for hours to get out into the countryside, and we're basically all. I mean, you can be in the countryside 5 minutes out of Hobart. I much prefer this way. I must got to be honest. And now this is like the third time I've done it, and I didn't even really notice the windy bit. We just cruised on through, and we're doing it in good time as well. Duckhole Rivulet. I wonder how it got its name. I wonder if like someone was just walking along one day and said, "Oh look, a little rivulet," and then on the side of the rivulet there was a hole and there was a duck sitting in the hole, and they were like, "Goodness me, it's a duck hole rivulet." And what have you got to be to qualify to be a rivulet as opposed to a river? What makes you a rivulet? Now, rivulet is an accepted word in all of Australia. You won't hear anyone getting upset about the use of the word rivulet. I mean, maybe rivulets do. Maybe I don't even know if anyone's asked rivulets if they're being called rivulets, not rivers. I think chat's frozen, guys, or you're not talking one or t'other. But I got what I needed to off my chest with the typo in my header. What should be not. Yeah, duckhole rivulet. I need to stop and get a photo of that one day because my godson Lockie, who lives in the States, but his mum's, oh, this is the windy bit. That's why I didn't notice the windy bit. We haven't been through it yet. I was all like, wow, I didn't even notice the windy bit. Yeah, you haven't done the windy bit yet, you twit. Um, it was me thinking, wow, the windy bit's not even noticeable anymore, but it is. Yeah, so Lockie, when he was in Australia one year with his mum and dad, because Ange had come home to see her parents and friends and stuff. His dad is a US Marine. Um, they were driving, he was only like 3 or 4, maybe 3, I think. And they were driving up the east coast of Tasmania, and he was at that age where they just talk non-stop. And he gave this like really passionate speech to them about hole ducks. Um, and they were like, what are you talking about? And it's like, whole ducks. And they're like, you mean like a whole duck, as in a full, like an actual total duck? And he's like, no, hole in the ground ducks. And it was hilarious. I mean, I'm not retelling the story. I can't remember it very well. I mean, Lockie's 13 now, so it's, a decade ago that this happened. But yeah, he was a tiny little voice in the back of the car talking non-stop for this long drive up the east coast of Tassie, talking about hole ducks. So I might have to let Ange know that there is a duck hole rivulet. Maybe Lockie was onto something. By the way, this is not the way to go up the east coast of Tassie, so it's not like they went past duck hole rivulet and he saw the sign and he was 3. He couldn't have read it anyway. He's a smart kid, but he's not that fucking smart. Oh, well done, Aussie. Congrats. Yeah, it's a shitter. I hear you, girl. You're my inspiration. I've got to just redefine it and not look at it as a form of stress relief. I've got a weird history with smoking. I've given up for like a decade and then gone, oh, I feel like being a smoker again. Why? But I've got a friend who's kind of curious to me because, I mean, when we were little kids, our parents, not my mum didn't, but well, she did sometimes if she had a couple of brandies, but she wasn't a smoker per se. She probably had like 2 a year for about 5 years of her life. But my dad smoked, with us in the car and all the windows wound up, and we'd pile out of his car at school and this massive plume of smoke would come out and we'd spend the day smelling of cigarette. When I did Dad's eulogy, I mentioned that. He used to drop us off at school. Not that often. He worked in Canberra, so he wasn't actually home a lot. But when he was home, he liked to do things. I mean, we always caught the school bus. Hey, Ruth. But yeah, he'd pull up at the school and we'd open the doors together and this massive smoke cloud would emerge. But a friend of mine started smoking when he was 40. And it's like, dude, there's so much information out there now, and there's no longer cigarette ads on telly and in magazines and newspapers, and there's a lot of statistical data and information out there. There's warnings on cigarette packets, and what would possess you to start doing it when you're 40? But he's digging it. It's his thing. I haven't seen that movie. That Lovers Inc. was talking about. God, there's so many possums on the road this morning. Either that or it's the same ones we saw yesterday and they haven't cleaned them off the road yet. The roadkill foragers haven't found this road. There's people down here that, like, they forage and get possums and stuff off the road and eat it. But they live off the land, truly. I've eaten possum. It's not my favourite meat. I've had possum stew. Didn't really like it. Even kangaroo. Kangaroo is such an amazing meat in that it's hardly got any fat at all. Because they're such fit animals, you know. They bounce everywhere. And it's got a very gamey flavour. And there was an era in my life where kangaroo was a bit of a staple in our house, but it's too rich and too gamey for me. Now, the only red meat that I'm sort of okay with is like beef mince. Yeah, it's smelling like an ashtray. It's one of the downers. My ex, I don't have the ashtray thing happening. I don't know if it's the type that I partake in, but I'm a minty smoker. But um, he didn't smoke and he could never smell it on me, which I kind of wish he had been able to. And yes, he could smell. Vaping, I tried to vape a couple of years ago. I've still got my vape actually, and I've still got vape juice in the fridge. I was asking someone the other day, how long does vape juice last? I can't imagine it'd be good after 2 years. I found them messy and I don't know, you constantly sort of, I wasn't, it's certainly like at one point in terms of cutting down, vaping was really good, but it didn't have the, no, well, actually, no, for a long time, not a long time, a few months, I was actually doing pretty well on the vape. But I don't like the sort of sugary flavours. I mean, one of my flavours was menthol tobacco, and that was actually okay because it did taste like a menthol cigarette. But I remember I got like I don't know, like it wasn't a banana cheesecake. I'm trying to think what flavour it was, and it was just so sickly, and it's like, nah. So you reckon that Transformers movie's good? I don't know. I mean, I've got two sort of opinions. One is a word that is known to be hateful, derogatory. Oh, now the traffic's banked up a lot further than it usually is. It's not a long way, but I think, no one's going to argue that those words should disappear from the English language. But then you've also got the scenario where people that are in those marginalised groups, if they don't find a certain thing offensive, I'm not sure if the rest of us should be offended on their behalf and get really fired up either. Which is why I go to the source, like I asked Georgie, what are the words that can use that will not offend or upset anyone? And if she'd said, look, collectively trans people, trans person are the accepted terms in our community, I'd be like, groovy. But then if she said to me, but I like to be called a transformer, well, I don't know if I would. I'd probably just call it Georgie, but you can use the word weird. We're all using the word weird. I don't know why that. Mine was like a custard. It was a custard flavour because I love custard. And I thought, oh, let's go. It might have been apple custard or something, but oh my God, it was disgusting. But yeah, that's what I should probably Google. How long does vape juice last? Well, I don't even know I've still got it. I mean, it's kind of in a little shelf in the door on the fridge on the side that I don't use, like where my mustards and everything are. It's over on that side. It's on its own little shelf with chilled eye patches and aloe vera gel for when you get sunburnt and a couple of face spritzers that are nice when they're chilled. It's on that little tiny shelf, but I probably should bin it, I reckon. Empty it out and give the bottles a clean and put them in the recycling. What's pretty funny though, when I got it, I was in South Australia and the dude that sold me the vape and the vape juice said, now, do you know in South Australia it's illegal for vape retailers to sell vape juice with nicotine in it? And I was like, yes, I did know that. And he's like, would you want some? Sure. Why not? So the first bottle I had nicotine in it, and then the next one didn't. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the labels either, Ruth. My child-free community is quite interesting in that the younger members are really big on labels and they're really big on their own labels as well. So, like, they've spent a lot of time working out what labels apply to them. And I've had to Google what the labels are. And some of them have got like 12 labels to describe themselves. And I'm all for self-awareness, don't get me wrong, but I've never spent hours and hours and hours of my life thinking about all of the labels that apply to me and all of the prefixes I'd like used. And I'm not criticising that it's happening now, but I think that the label part of it, if you want to label yourself and you want to tell people your labels and your prefixes and stuff, awesome, go for it. But don't label other people because you're into labeling, you know, like there's a lot of discourse in our group from time to time because some of our younger members are labeling other members and they don't want to be labelled. Human beings, we're very complex and weird. Weird, see, we're weird. We're odd, we're strange, we're perplexing. But yeah, there's been quite a lot of arguments in the group about people being labelled and, you know, by other people who are into labels, but like Gen Xers, I'm so glad I'm Gen X, but Gen X is like, we weren't raised to think about ourselves and all this sort of self-awareness. I mean, we're all kind of working it out now in our 50s. We're suddenly going, oh, maybe it is okay to look after myself. A bit of, you know, mindfulness is good for me because we were raised to, you know, not think about ourselves all the time and think about others and help others. And, you know, if you were at dinner with your mum and dad and you talked about yourself for more than 3 minutes, you got told you were full of yourself and vain and, it's not all about you kind of stuff. There are younger generations where they've been encouraged to make it all about them, and that's great, I guess, but don't tell older people that they need to be labelled, or don't label them. And especially if they say, please don't label me, then drop it. But like I said, some of them have got words that I'm like, I don't even fucking know what that means, and I have to Google it, and they might have 9 labels for themselves, and it's a bit of a bloody puzzle even working out what the fuck they're trying to say. And people don't rock up into that group with the intention of offending or upsetting someone, but there are quite a lot of members who get incredibly upset because someone's called them a she and they don't like that. But it's not like they've actually said, I actually prefer to be referred to as them or their. Thank you. If that person then calls them she again, well, then maybe say, hey, just a reminder. And if they do it again, well, then maybe lose your shit. But don't lose your shit at them because they didn't use the prefix that you want to be used, like you want used when you didn't know, when they didn't know. You know what I mean? If it's that important to you, then even possibly put it in your name on, or tell people, like, I don't know, you can't get shitty at people because they did something wrong, but they didn't know that doing it would be wrong to you, for you. And then they get, a lot of them, when these sort of arguments go down, it's not my place to educate you. Well, it kind of is. If it's that important to you, then it sort of is your job to educate people so that they respect your wishes. You can't have it both ways. If it's important to you, then it's important that you tell other people so that they don't fuck up. And if they do fuck up and you haven't told them, then I don't think you should be ripping their heads off for that. I agree, Ozzy. I mean, that was where I think COVID was so fascinating last year. Like, just the shifts in people's thinking and attitudes and stuff. If you came out of 2020 not realizing that last year was about what we as a global community needed and not about what we as individuals wanted, then you kind of missed a really good life lesson. But there's plenty of I wants still floating around. But I'm with you, Ozzy. It is a group effort, which I guess leads back to this initial reason for this live. It is a group effort. We can all improve the planet that we live on collectively. But by the same token, don't group an entire country into something that you're saying that people are not liking terribly. Oh, it's okay to say that in Australia. No. It's like the video I did about someone claiming they owned the word weird. Did they ask 360 million English speaking inhabitants of planet Earth for permission to have the use of that word or ownership of it? Well, true, Ozzy, but there's also people that do, I think, switch their computer on and just, who can I? God, we're in nice and early. It's only 8:10. I've got time to go and get a bit of brekkie. I had a smoothie when I was getting ready and it didn't even touch the sides. And I was proud of myself for doing it. It was like when I got up, I was like, make your smoothie while the kettle's boiling for your first coffee. Make a smoothie. Because normally I just stand there with watching my stovetop espresso and chasing Sunny around the house. She didn't get a lot of playtime this morning. I think she might be a bit annoyed with me. But yes, on behalf of Australia, in response to something that was said, allegedly, I just want you to know that no, the word tranny is not in common usage in Australia. It is not an accepted word. It is considered a shitty word, and there may be one or two exceptions in the country that, like I said, there might be a trans person who likes to be called that amongst their group of friends, or they might have a stage name with the word in it. Who knows? But generally speaking, no, it's not okay to use that word in Australia. And especially if you know a trans person or work in advocacy for trans people, you would definitely know that word is not good. And it's their community that have said that, and we respect that because it's about them. It's a bit like there's an Australian comedian who was really big in his day, a guy called Steady Eddie, who has cerebral palsy, I think. Yeah, it is cerebral palsy. And he used to do this routine that was all of these disabled jokes. And they were fucking hilarious because he's disabled and he was allowed to do them. Like if I stood up and did the same routine, I would have had pancakes. Mm. If I'd done those jokes, I would have been booed off the stage, rightly so. I probably would have had shit thrown at me too. And again, rightly so. But Steady Eddie used to do these hilarious jokes. But he was able to because he was talking about himself. And one of his jokes that I loved was the patron saint of disabled people, St. Palsy, was gold. I don't remember any of his jokes being politically incorrect, though, because they were just realistic stories about living with a disability. You remember Steady Eddie? He was lovely. He ended up moving up to Byron Bay and, sort of, not in a commune, but kind of living out in the sticks and, hanging out in ashrams. And he became like very zen. It's a bit like Sam Pang, another Australian comedian, contemporary, who's Chinese descent, who makes incredibly racist jokes about Chinese people, but because he's Chinese, he gets away with it. But if I got up there and did that, again, I'd be booed off the stage. Byron Bay was really nice. Byron Bay is still very beautiful, but it's really overcrowded, and getting in and out of Byron is an absolute pain in the ass because they've only got one road in and one road out, and it's like one lane each way through the middle of Byron Bay. It can take an hour just to drive across this tiny little coastal town. My friend who's lived up there for over 20 years, she's actually moved a bit out of Byron she hasn't actually lived in the Byron hub for many years, but a lot of the locals are now living on beaches a bit out of Byron because it's just so crowded now all year round. But it is beautiful. I've been going up there for as long as Christina's been up there, and I've been going up for Blues Fest music festival for a long time as well. And it's changed. In fact, the celebrities have stuffed up Byron. It's kind of cool to see Chris Hemsworth walking down the street, but so Steady Eddie's still touring. How cool. I hope he's still doing his same palsy joke. It's gold. So I took a moment to pray to the saint for disabled. So the saint for the disabled, Saint Palsy, brings down the house. But you'll find a lot of the sort of long-term Byron dwellers are now living in, like even Tallows, which is south of Byron Bay. It's the next beach along. It used to kind of be known as the locals beach because Byron Bay Beach was just covered in tourists. But even Tallows is sort of touristy now. But where I live, down on the coast here, it sort of reminds me of Byron Bay 25 years ago. And I hope it stays like Byron Bay of 25 years ago. Doesn't have the same size town with all the shops and cafes and restaurants and stuff, but all the little dirt roads and little quirky houses and lots of Buddhist prayer flags flapping in the breeze. There's quite a few parts of where I live that are very much like, yeah, Byron Bay of 25 years ago. Chris Hemsworth is a tool. He's a hot tool. He's good eye candy. I don't know. I kind of like him. I don't. You have to tell me in another live why Chris Hemsworth is a tool. He's always come across as being pretty Aussie and pretty down to earth to me, but I'm not a fan of the house that he's built in Byron. It looks like a shopping centre or a mall for the Americans that might tune in. But here we are arriving in the gigantic megalopolis that is Hobart Town. And I've done what I needed to do. I've apologised on behalf of the remainder of Australia that if the YouTube world was told the word tranny is okay in Australia, it's kind of not. Trans person, trans people, fine. Aussie's not a fan of Chris Hemsworth. I think there's bigger tools on the planet than Chris Hemsworth, but maybe we need to have a debate. I noticed a message too from lovely Emily saying she's looking forward to seeing number 4 in my series of celebrities of YouTube. There will be another one, just not while I'm working. They take a while to make. And I would have recorded one and kept it in the vault and had it scheduled to go up today or tomorrow, except Mondays when I do my Traces of Sleepy Faces story, and I got sidetracked by the YouTube scandal of a creator alleging that they use the word weird and it's their word. Hey, Sticks. What's a relaxing drive? And we're arriving in town about 10 minutes earlier. So leaving home 10 minutes earlier was a good move. If I leave 20 minutes earlier, it's like that's probably the busiest time of the morning. And if I leave when I normally do, it's a bit heavier traffic. But when I've tried leaving at like 7 in the morning, it's been really, really slow driving. Any other pressing issues? We've got a couple of more minutes before I get to the car park. Look at this gorgeous sandstone building up here on the right. It's the Hobart Royal Tennis Club. 1875, this little building just here on the right, 1875. Royal tennis is interesting. It's played indoors and it's slightly different to tennis. I think you can take rebounds off the walls and stuff. They are pretty, aren't they, sticks? He's not your cup of... You're not a fan of Chris Hemsworth? Oh, God, poor Chris Hemsworth. You'd think he was the person that went live and said all Australians use the word tranny. Maybe he was. And quoting Aphrodite, this is allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I wasn't able to verify it, but if it was said on behalf of the rest of Australia, no, it's not commonly used. And if they didn't say it, then my second point is please don't use absolutes, not just that person, but anyone. Don't speak on behalf of an entire country unless you've done a big poll and interviewed everyone and got everyone's opinion on something. Please don't speak on behalf of all of us. He's one of those smug pricks that just shit me. Fair enough. Oh, Aussie, you crack me up. You're Aussie as fuck, mate. Aussie as fuck doesn't use the word tranny, but she thinks Chris Hemsworth is a smug prick. He just doesn't make my garden shed list. Wink, wink, nudge, giggle. Maybe I should change the header to Chris Hemsworth is a smug prick. Can you imagine? He doesn't strike me as that, but I don't know. I can't say I follow him that closely. See, who do I think is a smug prick? Who do I think is a smug prick? I can't think of one. I can think of a few YouTube creators that are smug pricks. Let's not go down that road. Oh, guys, I'm in a quandary. I've been invited to a 40th. Well, it's actually a 40 plus one because COVID prevented this friend of mine from having her 40th last year. So she's having it this year, which is quite a few people are doing that. They're having a proper party this year because last year they only had teeny weeny ones. But here's the kicker. The theme is leather and lace. And if I see her today, and it's quite likely that I will, because we work in the same building. In fact, I've already had this conversation with her when she told us all about it, when we went to see the band a couple of weeks ago, or last weekend. Yeah, when I was 40, I would have pulled off leather and lace, for sure. I've never really been big on leather or lace. I do have a red leather jacket that I bought at Victoria Markets in Melbourne years ago that I love. It's a very retro sort of 70s style jacket. It's pretty groovy. But I'm not going to be wearing that indoors. It's got like a lining that you could wear it in the snow and stay warm kind of thing. Snug too. Um, Never been big on lace ever, other than the leather jacket, which I used to be able to do up. Um, did you want to go? Go, go, go. Um, and other than a few bits of lingerie that might have little bits of lacy sort of adornments, I don't have any leather and lace shit in my wardrobe. And I'm like, dude, I'm 54. But she's got Victoria and David Beckham on her invitation. Well, I mean, fuck, they could wear tea towels and look hot. But there they are in their leather pants and jackets, and they're looking smoking hot. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're smoking hot individuals. Like I said, they could wear a bloody t-shirt, a tea towel, and look hot. But pulling off leather and lace at 54, leather boots. Well, funny enough, I've got my leather boots on today, my knee-high ones. And when we were out the other night, I had the same boots on, and I said, oh, well, this is the leather part. I know you only live once. I'll find something, but it's freaking me out. I do have a dress that's sort of, it's not lace, but it's kind of um, my little park down there is not free. It's like white, and it's kind of got circles on it. It's a bit sort of 60s go-go. It's A-line. And I bought it a few years ago, and I've never worn it because you've got to wear something under it because it's incredibly see-through. And I've never found the right thing to wear under it. Like I've got a few little slippy kind of things, and I've tried it with lots of different things under it, and none of them look right. But I was thinking I could possibly wear that and then just wear my black boots. Or another idea was sort of to go a little bit minimal and just wear like, I don't know, I'd say do it up. Do it up. Do what up? Let me just grab all my bits and pieces. 8:30 on the dot. So I didn't get in. Well, I mean, I got in good time, but it's not like see-through. Tori will not get all the boys if she wears something see-through. I can tell you that right now. At my age, it's all about mystery. My outfit. I'll try the. I'll try this little dressy thing. It's very funky, but I just have to try and find some kind of slippy thing that I can wear under it that'll work. And it sucks because I do have a dress that I love when I'm a few kilos lighter than I am now. It's navy blue and it's got like a lace overlay, and it's sort of, again, it's a bit 60s go-go, but I tried it on the other day and it's a little bit too small. No, I didn't try it on for, weirdly, I tried it on to wear to go and see the band. I thought, oh, I haven't worn that navy dress for a long time. let's wear that and put it on. I was like, yeah, probably just got to do a bit more gym work before I wear that one. Tranny, what's happening in here? Hi, Grandma Ducky. I'm just about to log off, boo boo. I I just went live because I got a DM from, well, I got two DMs just saying that there was talk around the YouTubes that a creator had said that tranny is an acceptable word in Australia, and I just went live to say, no, it's not. And please don't speak on behalf of the whole country, but it is allegedly for entertainment purposes. I don't know. I didn't verify it. Nobody sent me like a grab or anything, but I just wanted to clarify that no, and also irrespective of whether it was said or not, I think it's pretty dangerous for people to speak on behalf of an entire country, especially when they're wrong. I just don't want YouTube thinking we're a bunch of backward hicks. And don't get me wrong, in some instances, Australians are backward hicks, but not in areas where we're actually moving forward and doing good things. There's other issues that Australia's got that need to be addressed. But yeah, I'd prefer not to be lumped in as being okay with the word like tranny, which is not okay. But like I said, I couldn't verify it. Don't know if it was said or not, but I thought it was worth going live to at least say no on behalf of the rest of Australia. No, it's not. It's not. And maybe they move in circles where it is, and that's unfortunate if they do, because if they had any trans people in their circle, they wouldn't be using it. Go to the source, find out what's okay to use, and do that. Don't decide on behalf of marginalised communities that you're not a part of what words are and are not acceptable and how to describe them. Oh, Grandma Ducky, oh my God. You're my first. Oh my God, I got a super sticker. I can't see what it is in StreamYard. I'll have to rewatch this to see what it was. Thank you. How exciting. That is my first thing. Oh, Grandma Ducky, you've just made my day, and I've got a really heavy, full-on day at work today, so thank you. Now I want to see what it is. My very first super sticker. Thank you, Grandma Ducky. You're gorgeous. I love that it shows up in StreamYard. It's highlighted. That's awesome. So, how cool. Thank you. Oh, you've made my day. That is just the cutest thing ever. Oh, another one. Stop. Grandma Ducky, stop it. Let's cook tonight. Oh, I'd love to cook tonight, but I've got such a long day at work. I've already taken something out of the freezer to have for dinner. It's not going to be very exciting, I don't think, either, from what it looked like. Thank you so much. You're gorgeous. Wow. You're my first and my second. Well, you you popped my super sticker cherry. Oh, you should see the look on my smile. I'm grinning for me. That's so exciting. I wasn't expecting to ever get anything like that. It's turned on my channel because I'm sort of more curious than anything. And I'll try and think of something fun to do with I mean, I think you've got to make like $100 to even get sent any money from YouTube. So that's my goal, is to get my first payment from YouTube. I'm not asking for money, everyone, by the way. But thank you. Oh, shit. I'm going to be late for work. I can't log off. Well, first, second, and third. Well, there's the middle podium is full. You did give me a third time. It's cracking me up too, because I love your avatar anyway. Like, that cracks me up, and your name as well. You've done that. Well, that's it, guys. The middle podium is full. There's no room for any more. Thank you so much. That's made my day. You're a classic. And I will definitely watch the replay. Just see what you sent. You do own me. I'm happy to be owned by you. I'll be your little duckling. Thank you, everyone. This little Australian who doesn't use the word tranny is grinning from ear to ear. You've made my day. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who came for the drive. And yeah, the rest of YouTube, just so you know, tranny's not okay in Australia. So apologies if you think we're all a bunch of assholes. We certainly have our fair share of them, but there's some good people in Australia, just like in any other country in the world. Have a great day, Groovers, and thanks, Grandma Ducky. You get the gold, silver, and bronze medal. You're a champ. Love you heaps. See you, everyone.